That connection, boy. As we know, life is full of surprises, both good and bad, and the day-to-day journey is full of unforeseen obstacles, and sometimes it's hard for us to see our way through. Beyond the norm and mundane or where unscripted dreams live, join us for thoughtful discussions and interviews to help us navigate through the fog and create our own path. We are the Unscripted Dream Podcast, operating outside the margins to motivate and inspire our audience. Hey, people, I'm gonna need y'all to do me a favor, and that's to click on that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you. All right. So moving forward, man. So today's episode is literally titled Self-Directed Career Growth. And when you think of self-directed career growth, man, a lot of people know what I'm saying, but they don't really know what I'm saying. I'm just going to say that and pause for a second. A lot of people know what I'm saying, but they really don't know what I'm saying. Self-directed career growth. In
So
the
what are you
simple,
saying, Joe?
what I'm saying is don't wait for your employer, you know what I'm saying, to make choices for you, man. This is your ship. Run it as tight and as the best way possible. You know, don't let other people run your career or build your career. And if they do, you're doing something wrong. So make sure that you always have that full control. Even if someone gives you good advice, make sure that, with that advice, you're hands on and they're just not steering the ship for you, because ultimately they can steer the ship for you for a short period of time, but it's going to get to a point where you're going to have to step up to the plate and run that situation yourself. So make sure that you take control of your own career growth, and by being proactive and empowering yourself with whatever knowledge you can find, whether it's books, whatever industry you're into or whatever things you're into, you're building yourself up with the necessary knowledge to put yourself in a position of power, man. Because waiting solely for your employer to guide your professional development is definitely going to limit your potential. So that's how I want to start.
Most of us are waiting a year, a full 12 months to get a raise. So I don't like that system. I don't like to wait a year. Think about it. You have a product that you sell. Your sales are low, or they're not what you like, or your sales are just enough. Matter of fact, that's better. Your sales are just enough to pay your bills, right? And you say, you know what? I want to make more money. I want to sell more products. So I'm going to tweak my advertising strategy. I'm going to change the way things are presented. I'm going to make the product a little better. And then you run a new campaign, you repackage your product or whatever the thing is that you're selling, which this is which I'm trying to say is like, this could be your work, this could be your product, but in 2 months time, your sales have gone up, right? So you've done something on the back end that has resulted in you making more money. But if you're working your job, a regular job that gives you an annual raise, and you go into training, like you go to trainings, you start making these like small tweaks to your performance, you'll be good. You could make that change in 2 weeks on the first month of you getting a raise. And now you're just killing it for the next 11 months, killing it next level, making the same amount of money. And you actually are worth more within 2 weeks of you getting a raise already. So that's why I say that the inflation rate isn't waiting for you to get a raise. Your rent going up, they're not waiting. They're like, oh, she just you gonna make you're gonna make a little bit more in a few months. We'll work it out. So it adds up. Like, no, your food costs more, your gas costs more, your expenses cost more, the things you're doing cost more. So why are people waiting a whole year to do something that will result in you getting a raise 12 months from now? That will be not even enough for you to even take your life to the next level.
You know what? You make a very valid point, man. A few valid points, but the main point that I got from that is you shouldn't be dependable upon your primary job as far as if you're looking for an increase or if you're in need of an increase, which in most cases, most people are in a situation where they need an increase of pay. Like we said, inflation rates, and word on the street is they may be implementing more rates and shooting it up even higher before it comes down. So yeah, that's a whole nother story in itself. So I'm not gonna go down that road. But what I'm trying to say today, man, and focus on today as far as this, man, is when you think of the side projects and freelancing, like for example, say you got like a gig where you get on like Fiverr or Upwork and you do like some kind of artistic thing on the side. That could be whether like, hey, I'm really good at like social media. I can market anybody's account for them and make some dollars on the side. Like we're thinking of that's the type of method of thinking that you have to think or, what I'm saying, that you have to plan and implement, man, if you want to succeed in these times, unfortunately. You got to think outside the box and you also got to gravitate to what people like. If you know what people like, they're going to buy, they're going to invest, and you be straight. If you think about the state you reside in, think about the total population there, the total population in the average states of America. I don't know, pick whichever. Like I'm in Michigan, so I think we got give or take like 10 million. Other states is higher, some are lower, but give or take, there's about 1 million people in each state. But what I'm saying is, you don't even have to reach 1 million people, but think about if your business reached the whole entire state. All you need is a few thousand people to invest in your business or your brand and you own it pop. You get what I'm saying? That's the kind of mindset you gotta have if you're really trying to increase your dollars. So, something to keep in mind.
And I think job type too, right? So
Yeah,
like that's the thing. Like you have a commission based job, like you live and die by that too. That's the thing. Like there is something about having a quote unquote stable salary. I don't think any of these salaries are stable because you get fired at any time. so
any
so
given time.
so that's the thing there. But you just like understanding rate at which things are going, and it's almost like we have to go on offense, pretty much. Like you can't like we can't just be like waiting, like
Time
oh
for sitting, no
yeah
time for vacations. If you are taking a vacation, I hope it's something that's pushing your agenda forward as far as you promoting your business somehow, some sort of way, or you're going out to explore, learn about other avenues in different markets. So you can come back to the drawing board after that vacation and be like, okay, this is what the people want, or this is what I want or need. So I can elevate and go to the next level.
yeah. So if you're good, we can jump into ownership and responsibility if
And
you're
my
ready.
bad, man. That was a freaking fly in my face, man. So moving on to the next talking point here, ownership and responsibility. So basically what ownership and responsibility, man, is basically you need to know your strengths, you need to know your weaknesses, and you need to know your aspirations as far as what you want to do. So when you figure all these things out, which you should have if you're an adult and you pay your own bills, you should be knowing that, or you should be coming really close to defining most of those things. So when you
Yeah.
get to that point and figure them out, now it's time for you to plan. So when you plan and make those plans as far as your mind made up and how you're going to go about it, that's when we want you to implement on them. So say that you're just graduated school or whatnot, and say that you have an idea of like your strengths, you have an idea of your weaknesses, and you know where you want to be. Now it's time for you to go out there and get it. How you going to go about it? Well, I'm just going to apply for this job. I'm going to apply for this job. In a perfect world, or if you're lucky enough, yeah, it'll work for you. It didn't work for me like that. And I'm sure that it didn't work for markets like that either. And what I'm trying to say is, what are you going to do when what seems so straightforward is not so straightforward? You have to think of other ways. Think of networking. You know, you got to build a strong professional network. How do you go about that? No, you can't just go on LinkedIn and just be like, hey, I followed you. Follow me back. Hey, I followed you. Follow me back. That's not how LinkedIn works, man. You got to build a relationship over time with these people. You got to come off genuine so they can do you right. And in return, you know, they can put you in situations that you never thought you could get, or rub shoulders with certain people that you never knew existed. It can happen. But what I'm trying to say is all this stuff takes time. And that's why it's very important for you to plan. Goal setting. So this all goes into goal setting. So networking is part of that goal setting. You need some actual short term goals. That networking, that's a good short term goal. The long term goal is what you've been having your eyes on this whole time, which might be the money, or I mean, to keep it real simple or to be real frank, maybe you want to make a certain amount of money or salary or whatever. So that's your long-term goal. Not my long-term goal, but that's most people's long-term goal where like, hey, I want to make over six figures. Okay, that's a good goal, man. It's your preference, it's your world. You know what I'm saying? You can navigate how you want to. So let's say that that's your long-term goal. Okay, so how are you going to make over six figures a year? Well, I want to be a manager of some sort, or I want to be in some tech industry. Okay. So with that being said, what tech are you into? What tech is most profitable? Like, what's the most buzzing technology out there? Like, what do businesses need? What business can't live without? Say that you're in the coding. Okay, everybody needs to be uploaded into like some kind of server. So something's got to be internet based. You know what I'm saying? So okay, with that being said, I'm gonna go into coding. All right, cool. So you figure that out. Then okay, how am I gonna get a job in coding? After I got a certification? Well, you got to go out there and network. That's the short term goal. You see how I just broke all that down? That's how you got to think. But make sure you write that on paper, okay? This ain't something you just, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is the kind of stuff that I had to coach myself and build up to. That's the reason why I can speak to it like this, because that's how it happened for me, where I had to think at these all small short term goals just so I can get to my long term goal. And really, my long term goal, to be honest with you, was just to be happy and comfortable. Some people want more than that. I don't want more than that. I just want to sustain comfortable living for me. So, whatever that goal is, find it and run with that long term goal and build short term goals like building blocks so you can get to that long term goal.
And one thing I like to add to that is I know if you're listening to the shirt, like you're looking for something that's actionable. Joe just gave you some actionable stuff. So you're working your job, right? Or yeah, let's just say you're working your job, right? Entry level. And you don't know what to do. Like you're trying to figure out like, well, I kind of don't know what I want, but I want to do more. I want to make more. Here's something you can do. Go to your supervisor, your boss, ask them, or the business owner, whoever you work for, and you can ask them, like, what are the three to five type of skills or type of people that they see the company needing in the next like 3 to 5 years, the next 5 years, right? And ask for a list of things too, because if someone, let me tell you, if somebody say, Marcus, I need you to be the best salesman, that's what I really need. I'd be like, well, do you need somebody to do like the accountant or something like that? Like, do you really need like a really good accountant or a really good person who's like good on the back end like system? So an organization might need five different people that are exceptional in different areas of the business. So that's just because you might be the first person to ever ask your supervisor this, ever ask your like the owner of the business this question, right? And it's about the success of the company. They'll give you a straight answer, or they'll be really impressed by your question because you're trying to position yourself. It's not like you're asking them like asking like a business owner that you work for. If you're asking them like what are the trends in the field that I kind of need to know versus what are the type of people, what are the type of skills that you feel like your business needs to take it to the next level the next 5 years. Those are the skills that you develop. And you take those, like I said, you take those five things, if they can give you three or five, and you say the thing, and then you look at the thing that you gravitate towards the most. And then how can you gain expertise in that area? That's something you can go to work and do today, right? After you listen to this. But Joe, I can tell you got something too.
Yeah, man. I just want to add my 2 cents on what you said, man. This is amazing here. So, when you say skills, skill diversification, man, that's big, that's major. Don't just specialize in one thing unless they really need you. But you want to be versatile as much as possible. So if you can do more than one thing, man, that gives you more than one opportunity. Can't tell you how many times I've come into a job and I've learned one skill set, or I came in with one skill set, but before it was all said and done with, I didn't learn about three or four different people, maybe even five different people's jobs, because there was point in times where they were down and out and I picked up the slack. I'm not saying you have to do all of that, but if you really want to be a beast out there, a monster out there, you got to be willing to you basically have to take an eraser and wherever you see it or some whiteout, well, that's kind of old school. But basically, you got to strike out the word no. So whenever opportunity comes, you can't look at no as an option unless you absolutely can't do it and you're going to mess up something. Then, yeah, then you can take that option. But if you know you're capable of learning something and you're willing to challenge yourself, sometimes that's all it takes. Don't be that person that says no, especially if it's an opportunity for you to learn or pick up a new skill. It's worked for me thus far, and I think that that's what will set you apart from most people. But the last thing I want to add is job shadow. Job shadowing is very important. So just like Marcus mentioned that you would speak to your manager or whoever's over you, right? If they can let you be a fly on the wall for a few hours in a meeting, a few hours in a discussion on a project or something in particular that's going on with your place of employment, do it, man. Do it. Make sure that you show people that you're hungry. And that's one of the best ways to put yourself in a better situation is by job shadowing. So if they allow it, do it.
If you're a manager, keep in mind that more so for managers and supervisors, but if you're working, if you're working for a company and they're not training you, like you're just a manager and you just like post it up, not getting better, like you should ask to go to trainings, but go out. Like one of the things I did early in my career is I wanted to have an edge. So I would go sit in meetings with people and I'll be like, wow, like this person is like way more skilled than me. And I'm in the leadership position and I'm looking at other leaders and I'm like, man, they're where I want to be. So you talk to these people, or matter of fact, you don't even have to talk to some of these people because you can, they probably have enough information on them out there that you can kind of see some of the training and things that they have. So it's like when you see people in places where you want to be, ask whoever oversees you as a manager, like, can I go to these trainings? I remember I put something together when I had a job and I was like, I would like to go to these trainings. And I picked the trainings out and I was like, I want to be developed and I want to have training that's like relatable to what I'm doing every day. And they agreed. They said, okay, you can go to this. We want to see that I actually took the initiative. Now, if you get pushback when you try to improve yourself, that's the culture of the business, and that's a red flag. So you have to make the appropriate decision there. But just understand that like you can take control, like Joe was saying in the beginning right, of the episode, you can take control of your future. You don't have to wait. Like you don't have to wait for someone to say yes. If you go to your job and they say we don't want you to get this certification, I'm just gonna get it myself. And it's like you don't have to pay for it. So you just go get it yourself. And I think that's why it's important. And I've talked about this before of having an education like budget. Like if I don't at least spend $1,000 a year on education, certification, like whatever it takes, like I fail because not everything is going to be free, but you have to invest in yourself too. And that's a money piece. And then just think about like maybe you find a mastermind, maybe you find a community that you pay for. Like I have an investment community. I pay $50 a month to have access to this community and this information communities I'm looking at too. I'm better for being a part of those communities, right? I learn from paying my money every month to have access to other investors who are passionate about what they do and they want to make money just like I want to make money, right? So
Yeah.
about that, like that investment in your education in yourself does not always look like, oh, I have to take a course. You might join a mastermind. You might buy a book. You might go to like Joe saying, networking. You might go to some like event or something somewhere like that, but it's an investment in yourself and it's important. I think your education budget is like, it's top 3 budget after your like necessary stuff that you need to live. But
Yeah. So that's the last thing right there that we're going to point out there is resource utilization, man. Leverage online resources like blogs, podcasts, webinars, e-learning platforms. Perfect example would be Udemy to stay informed and inspired, man. These resources don't keep putting out stuff out there for the heck of it. Like there's a purpose and there's a reason why people keep putting this information out there because they want people to be just as successful as they are. That's one, which would be like some of the work we do. Or even better, there might be employers out there that are looking for you and they're kind of coded behind the works of these blogs or podcasts and webinars and e-learning platforms, and you don't even know it. They're lurking in the shadows to see who's going to actually get these trainings or certifications done. And once they see them and you put them on your LinkedIn, voila, all of a sudden, they find you. So you don't have to do anything. So just think about that, man. So that's why I've always been a person where if there's an opportunity to learn, man, especially from a professional standpoint, and you're trying to actually shoot up the ladder, man. Take every opportunity that's coming to you, man. Even if it's one where you might temporarily move, not necessarily up, but say you're in a dead end job. So you kind of move horizontal, however you may look at it on the workflow chart. You'll move sideways, so to speak, but there's more earning potential for that next role or whatnot. I would say go for it. I've done it a few times, so I don't see why anybody else can't. And just because you might be in a certain position one year, it doesn't necessarily mean that somebody won't see the good in you or the workhorse you are or are becoming and will want to kind of put you on their team. Because if management wants you bad enough, trust me, they're going to find a way to get you. So just keep that in mind. Also, if another company wants you that bad, they're going to find a way to get you too. So I'm living proof of that. So with that being said, man, y'all have a good one, man. Make sure y'all like and subscribe, man. Peace.
Yep, so